exist on planet Earth until 1681. Number two, any claim that this group called white people, that group is rooted in biology or derived or is innate or is from nature is a lie, is a lie, is a lie. White supremacy has been embedded in the United States of America from its founding. I don't expect you to buy all that, to get all that, to believe all that, at least not now. But my job is to share with you the legal history that proves each of those three claims that I begin with. So let's go. Let's get started.
Look at this. Look at this. Is this white?
We're talking about.
Is this white?
We're talking about skin color.
I appreciate the $1 donation, but that don't get you the question.
Okay, is this white?
We're talking about skin color.
I don't care. Tell me your question. Is it white?
Is white.
No, it's not. This is
Not
white.
that white. That's an object. We're talking about skin color.
This is the same color.
You're white.
I coined it. It is mine. Don't steal it. It's my phrase. Y'all be stealing. Y'all stole unapologetically black. I ain't get $1.
This is the option.
So what you
take
think you
one.
are? You think what color are you?
A pink. You're red.
Don't call me stupid.
Make black America great again.
You as a parent, you teach
White people.
What if I told you that the Vatican helped Europe colonize the world? That it justified European colonialism in the name of spreading Christianity? That there are papal decrees that allowed European empires to take over entire countries? And for what? To allow colonizers to subjugate people, to take away their lands, wage war on their cultures, impose a self-conceived notion of racial superiority over them. And all of this just because the colonizers claimed that they were the ones who discovered new lands. So they had a right to rule over those new lands. Now the Vatican has come forward and apologized for what it did. It has apologized for helping the colonizers. Here's a report.
Have you heard something called the doctrine of discovery? It's Europe's version of finders, keepers. It's what European colonizers used to subjugate the world. The doctrine was cited by Europeans who discovered new lands, and the doctrine traces its roots back to the Vatican and to the Catholic Church. Now the Church has apologized for helping colonizers in their conquests. On Thursday, the Vatican issued an unprecedented statement. It officially apologized for its historical role in justifying colonialism by European powers. The Vatican said, "The Roman Catholic Church repudiates those concepts that fail to recognize the
politician, what kind of law do we have in this country today? They would tell you it's called public policy. It's a policy. It's not law. Who came up with that policy? Well, we have policy makers. Oh, really? Policy makers. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're lawmakers. They're the lawmakers. They make the policy. They don't make law. They make a policy. And it's just our policy that you do this and you do that. You go 65 on the highway and you do this. You park there and and these are all just our policy. And the police will see to it you abide by it. So that's where the police come in. Because back in the John Wayne days and the cowboy and Indians, there was no police. Why? Because you have a constitution. You are a free man and can do whatever you please to do. But you take care of yourself. There's no government checks. There's no government anything. You just take care of yourself. And if you want to buy a gun, buy 10 of them. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares. You're free as an American. But today, you're no longer an American. You are a U.S. citizen. U.S. is a privately owned company, a corporation. It's called a municipal corporation. It's a company. Well, according to corporate law, you have to have, and this is in all corporate law, you've got to have a president of the corporation. That's just corporate law. U.S.
Race comes from each ancestor's skull of the ancestor of each ancestor's skull. And they come up above the hiding star with this big space ships where the beach aliens come from.
Oh my
And then the sky gods are like 2,000 ways far. 2,000 ways far. So the beach people are in a big wasteland, island when they're above the Atlantic Sea. So when you go to the Atlantic Sea, you'll see up when they're above.
Oh my
Or they're
goodness.
above the oceans. They drive on boats and sometimes they can enforce magic.
So these people, they come from the water.
They come from the English Sea.
What?
Now they're not in the English Sea anymore because there's terrible brown people attacking the peach people. Then they didn't want to be killed. So some of the royal kings that are peach killed the other peach king, who was his father.
Oh my
His
goodness.
father's brother died from a peach king. He was king of space.
What?
When he was a mighty god.
Oh,
The only mighty god that was brown. He was a brown mighty god who killed some of his fathers.
My awakened self. To say it again, the only alien race theory that I want to talk about is the one that examines how white people clearly are not of the planet Earth because we don't know how to take care of it. We don't want to take care of it. And over we refuse to learn how to take care of it. And it's not because this is a prison planet. No. We could just learn how to assimilate, but we don't. We just continue to steal and take. And we kind of took all the land already. So what else is there to take? Cultural, spiritual belief. We're going to hijack them, erase history with them, try to erase the existence of people with them. And then it's going to absorb into Christianity, which is essentially what's happening right now with the conspiritualists, with QAnon, MAGA. It's all meshing together with evangelicals. You can barely tell the difference between what they're talking about, what they're talking about. So
White people did not exist on planet Earth until 1681. Number two, any claim that this group called white people, any claim that that group is rooted in biology or derived from genes or biology or is innate or is from nature is a lie. Again, white people did not exist on planet Earth until 1681. Number two, any claim that this group called white people, any claim that that group is rooted in biology or derived from genes or biology or is innate or is from nature is a lie.
That my husband hears his thoughts, like word by word, sentence by sentence inside of his head, kind of like a narrator explaining exactly what he's thinking inside of his brain. I thought this was absolutely crazy until I did a TikTok about it. Turns out him and just about everybody else have that. Apparently what most people have is called an inner monologue or an inner voice. It's like having a narrator explaining exactly what you're thinking. I don't have that. Like at all, like 0%. The easiest way to explain what's inside of my head is like a collage or a whole bunch of little clips of video and still images put together. I think this is in part why I'm a super big verbal processor. I need people to talk things out with in order for me to explain something. I also wonder if this has helped me in my communication skills as well. But now I'm curious, is anyone else like me an abstract thinker? Do you not hear an inner monologue?
Richard D. Hall. Today I am going to be talking about the work of Nigel Kerner. Now, Nigel authored his first book in 1997 entitled The Song of the Greys. He wrote another book in 2010 entitled Grey Aliens and the Harvesting of Souls. Now, to discuss these books, I'm joined today by two of Nigel's researchers, Danielle Silverman. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you.
And Professor John Biggerstaff. Welcome, John.
Hello, Richard. Given this scenario and what Nigel hypothesizes is that really in the same way that I mess with organisms on plates, that these guys were messing with us as a species, really looking for advantageous genetics. They only care about whether they can mess with our genes more efficiently. And it turns out that the molecule melanin, actually, when we mess with genetics and stuff, one of the ways in which we can do it is to use things like ultraviolet light to actually splice the genes in the cells and actually alter the genetics or to get things things we put in to actually take so that we can almost microsurgically implant them in the cells. The thing is, if these cells have got a lot of melanin in them, it's a dark pigment, it tends to absorb that light and diffract it and turn it into vibrations, etc. And then the light just doesn't get where it's really supposed to go. And faster if deliberately put in there.
Right.
But there is a special, do you want to explain the special about melanin and how it protects the cell, the DNA inside the nucleus? That's very important.
Part of the reason you can't do these experiments, where there's a lot of melanin around, the melanin actually in a lot of people, in black people, it's actually spread out through the skin. It spreads out through the cells and covers everything from the actions of the ultraviolet light.
There's no doubt in people with higher melanin, natural higher melanin, that it's far more likely that melanin will be coating the nucleus, the cell wall of the nucleus of the DNA. Now, the point about that is that ultraviolet light, which is often used to splice DNA, is blocked by that melanin. It absorbs it. It doesn't allow it in to interfere with the DNA. And it could well be, and this is Nigel's thesis, that this was a blocker for them when they were trying to genetically alter the species. And therefore, when maybe just out of random mutation, something like an albino came along, they discovered, wow, we can get straight in.
Right.
And it may well be that the paler-skinned nation, people on the Earth, maybe have that pale skin because of this genetic experimentation to make things easier for them to work on human DNA. And in fact, Professor Steve Jones argues that this thing about vitamin D being, paler skin being there to allow vitamin D to be absorbed and so on, all these theories about why pale skin happened in the first place, he believes it's not an adequate explanation. There is no real explanation or justification for the need for pale skin at all.
Yeah, because I think if
dark skin is always an advantage in every circumstance.
Right, because most people would just automatically assume, well, they went to live in the north where there's less sun, so therefore their skin changed colour. But that's not the case.
According to Professor Steve Jones, an eminent professor of biology, that is absolute nonsense.
Right, okay.
There's just no reason at all for pale skin.
You would want to absorb more light. And, why do we lose hair if we came to a colder climate, etc.?
Yeah.
So obviously something's wrong with that idea.
Right. All right. And Nigel contends that the white races, the northern European races, have probably had the most interference from this outside entity called the grey alien.
Yeah, and he doesn't say that. It's very important to say he doesn't say that from the point of view of a kind of reverse racism.
Right.
It's just he's letting us know that, right, that's there, you may need to do something about it, and maybe suggesting ways that we could do something about it. And if you look at the record of the European nations throughout history, in terms of colonialism, imperialism, and what the havoc they've wreaked on the world, makes the point
that
really.
It's the blue-eyed white races that have got their finger on the nuclear. Well, I mean, what about China? Because he mentions the Chinese as well, doesn't he? He says that they've had significant intervention. Am I right there?
That's right. Yes, there's been interception all across the board. They found ways of doing it, but the most efficient way to do it is on cell nucleuses that aren't protected by the melanin shield. Right. That's just the most efficient, easiest way to do it.
They always have ways of letting us know where they come from, which lets you know that they are not from here. All right? All this vast land, and they come to our planet to breed their species. Something to think about. Something to think about.
White people lie. Africans weren't the first people on Earth. Black people were. Black people have the oldest DNA on the planet, going back 338,000 years. America is actually the oldest continent, older than Africa. All life didn't start in Africa. It started in America. This is why everyone wants to be here. We have the best weather, the most resources, and the most talented people here. Think about it. You won't find a Michael Jackson in Africa. You won't find a Michael Jordan in Africa. You won't find a Kanye West in Africa. All the best things are over here, and everybody knows it. Black people, your ancestors weren't a bunch of weaklings who got pushed around by white people. Your ancestors were the spitting image of God, and you are just as great as your ancestors.